Hey all, welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile, and today I have for you guys my True Draco deck. Now this is actually a pure one, so it has no extra deck, and because of that, because we don't really go into the extra deck very often because you have very limited monsters, we also run Domain of the True Monarchs in the side deck, so that's the cool little tech that we can use there. Now I have not played this deck too often, but I really wanted to learn it because it is so predominant in the meta, both in the OCG and the TCG now. And looking, it's going to be a very powerful deck moving into the Link format, for us especially. So the main focus of this deck is to draw into your Dracos, and then use those Dracos to just destroy your opponent. Now also, these Dracos, the cards used to tribute them, then become cards that they cannot be affected by. So if you tribute a monster and a spell, which is actually something you can do with these cards, they cannot be affected by monsters and spell effects. So there you go. Now you get some really powerful defense there with some pretty awesome offense. Starting off, we have 3 Masterpiece, the True Dracoslaying King. Now this card is super powerful. Basically, you contribute it by contributing a continuous spell and trap as well as other monsters. And then it becomes unaffected by the same type it was tributed. So that's really powerful. But once per turn, during either player's turn, this card was tribute summoned. If this tribute summoned monster, you can banish one continuous spell and trap card from your graveyard, then target one card on the field and destroy it. So it has built-in destruction as well. Also being a 2950 attack, 2950 defense is pretty great as well. So definitely need to run that at 3, and we also run, which is also fairly standard, 3 Dynamite Knight, the True Draco Fighter. Now this card is only a level 6, so you can only tribute summon one card on the field to bring it out, and that allows it only to be unaffected by one type of card. So that's just something to be aware of, instead of the 2 tribute summons the Masterpiece had. But this card also has a very interesting ability. So once per turn, during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control this tribute summon monster, you can take one True Draco or True King continuous trap card from your deck and either activate it or add it to your hand. So that's super pumped. That's really awesome draw power. So this deck does focus on moving cards around a lot, and that's why we have so many different cards in the deck just to get cards to the hand, because really the cards that are doing most of the work are the monster cards and a few of the Draco cards, and that is only making up maybe a quarter of the deck. So you have a lot of the cards just to move cards to your hand. So of course we run that at 3. We also run 1 Ignis Heat, the True Draco Warrior. Now, I have seen some people not run this card at all. I have, and I may actually sub this card out during game 2, so you kind of want to be, I don't know, I don't see it around as much, but it is also just on their monster, good target there. And this card, once again being level 5, only takes 1 tribute. And his ability is once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or card effect while you control this tribute summon monster, you can take 1 True Draco or True continuous spell and either activate it or add it to your hand. So the spell movement is actually, I see that it's fairly consistent there, and it's quite good to have. But we only run him at 1. But we do run 2 copies of Majesty Maiden, the True Draco Caster. So this has the same ability as all those other ones, except you can add 1 True Draco monster from your deck to your hand. So this is your searcher for your other Dracos. So that's really powerful. And we run 2 of these. 2300 attack isn't exactly the strongest, but it's still pretty good. Moving on to our spell lineup, which was a pretty quick transition, but that's what makes up the majority of the deck, is we have our field spell, Dragonic Diagram. Now this is the main card of the deck. This is the searcher, this is the little bit of increase, and it's also a little bit of destruction, so that's pretty good there. Now this is super expensive of a card. Now this whole deck is super expensive, but it is top tier for sure. It is definitely probably the best deck going around right now. So of course we run 3 copies of it. We also run 3 copies of True Draco Heritage. Now because cards are moving around so often, this card has a great advantage because during your main phase you can draw cards equal to the number of True Draco and True King card types, monster, spell, and trap sent from the field to the graveyard this turn. So there's more draw power right there. Also, you can use this to bring out your Draco monsters because this is how they tribute summon. They can tribute summon continuous spells, and this is a continuous spell. So, during your main phase, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, tribute summon 1 True Draco True monster face up. If this card is sent from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, you can target 1 spell and trap card on the field and destroy it. But you can only use each effect of True Draco Heritage once per turn. So you can't run multiple copies of these and hope to get off all those effects multiple times. So of course that's a 3, and then we also have 3 copies of Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix. So basically this is where you can target 3 True Dracos or True Kings cards in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw a card. So a little bit more draw power and a little bit of recycling there. And of course this follows the same thing where immediately after this, in your main phase, after this effect resolves, you contribute 1 True Draco or True King monster face up. Now that's pretty consistent there. And then once again, if this card is sent from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, you can target 1 spell card on the spell/trap card on the field and destroy it. So just like the other ones. So that's basically how they all work. They all have like their first initial effect that kind of is a little different, and then they all carry on the same tribute summon and then target and destroy. So that's pretty awesome. Great for versatility, great for consistency. And that kind of ends our True Draco lineup for our monster spells. And then we move on to our spell draw power. So we have 2 Pot of Desires. Now, I've seen people either run 3 or none. I think Team Samurai X1, he runs 2 of these, and I definitely follow him there, because really, if you have 3, you never really are able to get off 3. You're usually able to get off 2, and most people run 3 just so you can see it more often. But with as much draw power this deck has, you usually do see 1 or 2 of these, and that's all you really want to use. So I think 2 is a fair number. Plus, I was kind of struggling to see what I would want to take out for a third one, but it is in the side deck, because sometimes I do need to get to cards a little bit faster. So game 2, I may toss another Pot of Desire there. Next up, we have 3 Card of Demise. Just the draw power. It's great. Draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. Usually you use this when you have 0, but sometimes you just need to get rid of something. Maybe you have a True Draco in your hand that you can't do anything with your brick in. You just get 2 new cards in your hand. That's still really powerful. And then of course we have 3 Terraformings, as Dragonic Diagram is super clutch. You need it, and you can activate multiple copies of it a turn. It's not once per turn. So that's really powerful. So you have 3 Terraformings just to make sure that gets in your hand. It's also deck thinning, great draw power, and of course it is a necessity. We also run 3 Pot of Dualities. Team Samurai X1 also ran 3 of these. I've seen 2 other deck profiles when I was referencing how to fill the draw power of this deck. A lot of people use Pot of Duality, and I could definitely see why. It's very versatile. It's great to pick the card that you want to get in your hand. And because we're tribute summoning, the Monarch Stormforth is a very vital card. You can tribute summon one of your opponent's monsters to get these guys off. And you can also maybe tribute summon a spell and then one of their monsters and clear the field, get some powerful effects, super negation there. But sadly we only have it at 1. I know the OCG has it at 3, which is just crazy. Us having it only at 1 is still totally fine. It keeps things kind of more balanced. A lot of people would probably hate this deck a whole lot more if this was at 3, that's for sure. And then lastly, for our spell lineup, we have 2 Cosmic Cyclones. Now this is just to mostly fight the mirror match, but also just because it's very meta right now. So the Cosmic Cyclones, you just drop 1,000 life points and you can target a spell and trap card on the field, banish it. So a lot of the spell and trap cards that are super vital to a lot of these decks right now are ones that can easily recycle themselves from the graveyard. So if you can banish it, it usually does shut down a lot of that plays. Next up, we got our trap lineup. So we have 3 True Kings Return. Now this is super powerful because basically when it's sent from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, you can target one monster field and destroy it. Pretty awesome. So basically, you cannot activate the following effects in the same chain, but you can target one face-up True Draco True King monster in your graveyard, special summon in defense mode. Also for this turn, you cannot special summon. So that's just kind of a little bit of a return, I guess. But also, during your opponent's main phase, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, tribute summon one True Draco or True King monster face up. So that's really clutch, and you can only use each effect once per turn. And of course we're running that at 3, and of course we're going to run the next one at 3, True Draco Apocalypse. So this follows the exact same clause, except it's an attack and defense altering by cutting them in half based on what you destroy. So this can really hurt your opponent's monsters by cutting them basically half their current attack and defense, even if this card leaves the field. So that's really powerful. That's how your monsters kind of get over things, because obviously your toughest monster is only 2950 for attack points. So that's kind of a great way for you just to start destroying monsters on the field that are a little bit more of a boss type. And of course this also follows the same effect where you contribute summon True Draco True King monster face up. And then all that is, again, once per turn. And then I also have just a little bit of a Solemn Engine. I have a Solemn Strike and a Solemn Warning. I have another Solemn Strike in the side deck, as sometimes I don't like Solemn Warning, and sometimes you just need 2 Solemn Strikes, but I think this is the build that I most consistently go into game 1 with. So that finishes off the main deck, and I think that's a fairly solid build. It's fairly consistent with what everyone else is doing. A lot of the top tier players are all building somewhere around this. Focus on draw power, focus on a few Dracos, and then keep everything basically running at 3 for all their support. But of course we need a side deck. So our side deck consists of 3 Kaijus. Now Team Samurai X1 actually was the one who turned me on to using the sticky Kaiju. Now this is just a pretty good card to clear the field, fairly consistent, and it's pretty straightforward. It's not too much to it. I don't really tend to use that too often. I most often sub in the new card Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Now this is just great to stop the grass screener. All those really important cards for some of these decks. Obviously, because you can send this as a hand trap to the graveyard to just negate the effect of a card that could add a card to the deck to the hand, special summon from the deck, or send deck to the graveyard. So that's super clutch for a lot of different cards. We also have 2 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbits, just more hand trap potential there, fairly consistent. We've seen that throughout the whole format so far. That other Pot of Desires I talked about, I'm still unsure if I want to drag that in or not. I also had an Upstart Goblin before. I did actually have a Max C in here before. I just found you never really needed it. And a lot of the time right now, at least in the meta that we're going, where this is fighting other people, is you're really not special summoning a super lot right now. And I was playtesting with a Max C, and I may very well put in a Max C, because that's kind of, I like a Max C in every main deck right now, but I don't have it in here, and I don't think it's really super needed, but that's just me. Especially in the Link format, it may very well not be as prominent as it once was. But if you guys want to toss in a Max C, that is completely understandable, and I'd recommend playtesting, but see if you like it. I just found throughout my testing that it is not something that I think I need right now. Going off on a tangent there, we also have Twin Twister, just more back row destruction there. And then we also have our cool tech card, Domain of the True Monarchs, because obviously these monsters are tribute summoned. We're not using an extra deck. So game 2, I usually sub in 3 of these. And of course guys, just remember this. We have 3 terraformings, so we can search out this field spell very easily. The potential this card has to kind of shut down current meta is substantial. So this just makes the deck absolutely disgusting and really just hurts every other deck. And then I have one more Solemn Strike, just like I mentioned, just because I like to sub out Solemn Warning sometimes, and sometimes you just need maybe an extra Solemn Strike in there. I think this is a very solid build, and I think that moving forward you're going to see a lot of True Kings, a lot of True Dracos, and a lot of other mixed in engines like Zodiac's kind of been for all those other decks, Zodiac, Metal Foes, Zodiac, Paleozoic, all those guys. And now you're just going to be seeing a lot of True Dracos running around, True Kings everywhere. So just be prepared for that. This is the current meta, this is top tier, and this is what you're going to be fighting up against if you're not the one using it. And then again, you'll be fighting a mirror match most likely. So I think this is a very decent build. Feel free to give me any suggestions you have. But ultimately, I hope this was good. Hope this was informative. I hope to catch you in the next one. And as always, peace.